All right, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. It is Thursday, February 27, 2020. Stocks don't start trading for about 20 minutes. Stocks are set to drop across the board. Looks like about a 400-point loss for the Dow Jones Industrial Average here. No surprise to you. Again, I explained to you just yesterday there is an air pocket underneath this market. Now, again, forget the stock market for a minute, people. Right now, as I am doing this video blog, the entire yield curve is continuing to crater. The US 10-year yield just hit another historic low, 1.27%. And crude oil is cratering. Now, let me explain this to you. If you're one of my lions, you know this already. It is going to be very hard for this market to hold any kind of gain with the yield curve cratering and crude oil falling off of a cliff here. As you all know, the two largest sectors of this market are energy and financials. If crude oil is cratering, what do you expect to happen to the energy sector? It's going to drop. The financials, the banks, the investment banks have huge investments in crude oil. Well, they're going to suffer too as crude drops. There goes the market. You understand? They're going to try to prop this up, in my view. They got to do something to stop the bleeding here. But again, let's back up a moment to the yield curve. This yield curve has been screaming louder and louder for years, that there's a problem coming down the pike. We've been told to ignore it. Larry Kudlow, one of the biggest guys out here, saying, ignore the yield curve, ignore the yield curve. Even Fed presidents, ignore the yield curve, ignore the yield curve. No, you can't ignore the yield curve. The debt market is the largest part of this market, period, the end. Period, the end. But you're not allowed to focus on it because you have to look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average because it was hitting all-time record highs, and that's where you need to focus because the illusion of a booming economy must be kept real. Our economy is cratering. It's been cratering, and now this is about to get real. They're going to blame it on the coronavirus, period. That's what this is all about. And I know you get it if you follow this blog. So look, this really might just be the beginning here. And I'm not saying we're not going to get a bounce at one time. This market has gone pretty much straight down since Monday. We lost 2,000 points so far this week. And we're going to lose more right here at the open. Let's see what they try to pull off today. But again, without putting a bottom on the crude oil and doing something with this yield curve, people, if the yield curve is telling us one thing, it's actually telling us a couple of things. Number one, the fact that the yield curve is cratering is the biggest tell that you can possibly imagine that our economy is cratering along with it. This has been going on for a very long time. Number two, the fact that the yield curve is cratering is telling us something else, that debt is the problem. Debt is the problem, and more debt is not going to solve the issue. Last night, just as I said would happen, the president, when he was talking about the coronavirus, pounced on the Fed, calling for more debt. Like, the man does not understand that debt is the problem. Debt is the core here. All he wants to do is inflate. And it's not his fault. Every president must continue to inflate, more so than the last guy, just to keep where we are sustained. We have to borrow more and more and more. It can't stop. Not only can it stop, that's the grand plan. You know that. To issue in the final solution of the central banks to be the lenders and buyers of last resort to foster in a massive wealth transfer. That wealth transfer is happening now. This market lost $2 trillion in the last week, in this week alone. Not everybody lost money. I didn't lose a freaking dime. I made money here. The Wall Street banks are making money here. People are watching their 401ks, their investment plans that only make money when the stock market goes up, lose. That's the design here. That's what it's designed to do. Don't you understand? I hope you do. I know you do. All right, look, I'm out of here. I hope this makes sense to you. Real quick, with the yield curve cratering, With crude cratering, this market is going to have a very hard time finding a bottom. It's that simple. But again, let's see what they try to pull off here. Hashtag Woodrow, plunge protection teams, the same thing. Hashtag Woodrow is the word used when they call in the cavalry here to try to stop the bleeding. And but again, they got to do something with crude, and they got to do something about this yield curve. And debt is not the answer, President Trump. Okay? Last night, before the world, you again called for more debt, negative rates. This is destroying the middle class, and the biggest lie of them all. I predicted that the president would beat up on the Fed last night, but I did not predict this. Last night, the president said, for the first time in years, people are earning a normal rate of interest on their interest-earning accounts. The president is lying to not just you, but to the world last night, because we were all watching this. The actual rate of inflation is 3 times higher, at least, than what they're telling us here. And the president wants you to believe that by having rates suppressed, and now he's calling for negative rates, that this is allowing people to earn interest on their accounts. He thinks you're brain dead. And trust me, it wouldn't change under any of these other Democratic morons that are trying to become president, which they won't. Anyway, with that said, I'm out of here. I hope this makes sense to you. Love you a lot. See you at the end of the day.